June 2nd, 1932. A blackwater slough off the Ocmulgee River in Telfair County, Georgia. A 19-year-old farmer named George Perry is on the water only because the fields were too wet to plow. He carries one rod, one reel, and a single lure. He cannot afford to lose it. Then he casts toward a half-sunken cypress log, and the water erupts like a mortar shell. What Perry dragged to his homemade boat that morning weighed 22 pounds and 4 ounces, 32 inches long, 28 around. A largemouth so large a man could fit his fist inside its mouth. Nearly a century later, through every advance in tackle and electronics, that fish has never been beaten. It remains the most hunted record in all of fishing. Here is what almost everyone misses about that day. George Perry was not a genius angler. He was a hungry kid feeding his family in the Great Depression. But where he caught that giant and how was no accident. That fish was obeying laws written into its biology, laws that decide where every largemouth sits and when it strikes. Learn those laws, and you stop fishing on luck. Because the hard truth of this sport is simple. 10% of anglers catch 90% of the fish. And it is not because they are lucky or gifted or rich. It is because they understand the predator beneath the surface. Today, we are going to decode that predator, piece by piece, so you can catch 10 times more of them. Let's begin. One thing before we dive in. Everything we are about to uncover, the temperatures, the pressure windows, the exact spots, is organized into a single field system inside the angler's vault. First link in the description. QR code in the corner of the whole video. Tap it or scan it whenever you want. Now, let's meet the predator. To catch a largemouth, you must first understand that it is not a fish that hunts for sport. It is an efficiency machine. Every move it makes is a cold calculation, calories gained versus calories spent. It will not chase a meal across the lake if the math does not work. This single principle, energy in versus energy out, explains almost everything it does. And watch how it actually eats, because it tells you when to set the hook. A largemouth attacks a surface lure by charging and engulfing it, a violent ram. But it inhales a bait off the bottom by flaring its gills and sucking it in, felt only as a faint tick in your line. Miss that subtle tick, and you miss the fish. And its primary weapon is its eyes. Biologists have confirmed that vision is the largemouth's dominant sense, so much so that its catch rate drops sharply as the water gets muddy. Its eyes bulge from the sides of its head, granting a huge field of view, with blind spots only directly behind and below. It is built, above all, to see its prey. But here is where it gets remarkable. Peer-reviewed studies on the largemouth's color vision found something specific. It sees the color red more distinctly than almost any other. It likely cannot tell chartreuse from white or green from blue, but red pops against everything. That is not a lure company slogan. That is laboratory science, and it will change the colors you tie on. And when the light dies or the water turns to coffee, the largemouth flips to a second weapon, a sense we do not even possess. Along each side of its body runs the lateral line, a row of pores wired to detect the faintest vibration in the water. It reads the direction, the size, and the distance of anything that moves. It can strike, accurately, in total darkness. This is why the largemouth is the tyrant of its water. In daylight, in clear water, it hunts with its eyes. In the dark, in the mud, it hunts by feel. There is almost no condition in which it cannot find a meal, which means when you are struggling to catch one, the fish is not absent. It is simply not convinced your offering is worth the effort. This also hands you a rule for muddy water. When the fish cannot see well, stop relying on subtle, natural lures. Switch to something it can find by feel and by its love of red, a lure that thumps, rattles, or vibrates in a bold, dark, or red-tinted color. In the mud, you are fishing to the lateral line, not the eyes. So if the predator is always capable, what decides when it feeds? The answer is the single most powerful force in this entire video: water temperature. A largemouth is cold-blooded, which means the water does not just surround it, the water controls it. Its metabolism, its hunger, its whole location, all rise and fall with the temperature. Master this, and you can find fish in any month. The calendar of the largemouth begins the moment the water climbs to about 55 degrees. That number is a starting pistol. It fires the pre-spawn, when the fish move shallow and feed hard on high-protein meals to fuel the spawn ahead. As the water crosses roughly 60 degrees, they spawn, locking onto beds in the shallows and can be caught defending them. But know the trap that follows. For a week or two right after the spawn, the exhausted fish recover and barely feed. A period anglers call post-spawn lockjaw. If a lake that was on fire suddenly goes dead in late spring, this is often why. Give it a little time, and the golden window opens right behind it. Then comes the golden window. Once the spawn ends and the water settles between about 65 and 80 degrees, the largemouth enters its peak. Metabolism high, spawning finished. It feeds with abandon in shallow cover. This range, 65 to 80, is when the fish is most catchable all year. If you only learn one temperature band, learn this one. But then summer overheats, and most anglers get it completely wrong. When the water climbs into the high 80s and 90s, the largemouth seems to vanish. People call it lazy. It is not. It is doing math again. In hot water, digesting a meal burns precious oxygen. Oxygen the fish needs just to live. So it stops eating to balance the budget. This is why summer giants are not caught at noon. They feed in the cool of dawn and dusk, or when wind and clouds stir oxygen back into the water. And they stack along the thermocline, an invisible layer where cool, oxygen-rich water meets the warm surface. Find that layer, find the bait fish above it, and you have found the summer largemouth. Then the year turns, and the smartest season of all arrives, fall. As the surface cools back below 70, and then to 55, the largemouth's appetite roars back. It knows winter is coming, and it feeds with urgency, chasing schools of shad into the shallows. The crowds have gone home. The fish are gorging. It is the most overlooked opportunity of the year. And even in winter, in water in the 40s, the fish does not stop. It only slows. Its metabolism crawls, so it will not chase. But drop a slow, subtle lure onto the sharpest drop-off you can find, right in its face, and a cold water giant will still eat. Now, before we read the sky, let me show you something. Quick pause, because this is the heart of it. If the science is already clicking, hit the like button so it reaches the next angler stuck on the bank. And point your camera at the QR code, or tap the first link below. The Angler's Vault turns all of this into a simple, month-by-month plan for your water. One payment, yours for life. Now, temperature tells the largemouth what season it is, but something faster tells it whether to feed today: the weather. And the master key here is one most anglers never learn to read: barometric pressure. The weight of the atmosphere pressing down on the water. The fish feels it through its swim bladder, and it responds within hours. This is documented biology, not superstition. And here is the rule the pros live by. Forget the exact number. What matters is the trend. Whether the pressure is rising, stable, or falling. That direction of change is what flips the switch in the fish, far more than any single reading. Learn to read the trend, and you can predict the bite before you ever leave the driveway. When the pressure is falling, ahead of an approaching front, you get the single best window of the week. The largemouth senses the storm coming and feeds with reckless aggression, pushing shallow and smashing moving lures. Those gray, overcast, windy hours before the rain are prime time. If you can only fish one window, fish the falling barometer before a front. When the pressure is stable for days, the fish settle into a rhythm. The bite becomes predictable. The same banks, the same depths, day after day. But when the pressure rises sharply behind a cold front, on that bright bluebird day everyone thinks is perfect, the strike zone collapses. The fish jam into cover and refuse to move. That is when you must slow down and finesse. And on that brutal bluebird day after a front, do not give up, adapt. The fish are locked tight in the thickest cover, unwilling to chase. So downsize your lure, slow it to a crawl, and put it right on their nose, where refusing is harder than eating. Patience and finesse can pull fish from a dead-looking lake, and layered on top of pressure is light. The largemouth is an ambush hunter, and low light is its ally. The gray hour at dawn and the gray hour at dusk are when it roams and hunts most freely, unafraid and aggressive. Bright midday sun drives it tight to shade and cover. Fish the edges of the day, and you fish the feed. And never curse the wind, because wind is the largemouth angler's friend. Wind pushes the surface water, and with it the microscopic plankton, into one bank. The bait fish follow the plankton, and the predators follow the bait fish. That wind-blown bank, churned and cloudy, is often where the entire lake comes to feed. When the wind blows, fish the bank it is blowing into. So we know how the largemouth hunts, when its metabolism fires, and how the sky moves it. Now the biggest question of all: where in an entire lake of water is it actually sitting? Because the answer is brutal, and it is the fastest way to catch 10 times more. The fish are not spread out. They are hiding in plain sight. Fisheries observation reveals a stunning pattern. Roughly 90% of the fish live in about 10% of the water. Cast blindly across a lake, and you spend most of your day dragging lures through empty water. The entire game is finding that magic 10%. And to find it, you need to know the difference between two words most anglers confuse: structure and cover. Structure is the shape of the bottom itself, the points, humps, ledges, creek channels, and drop-offs that break up the terrain. Cover is the stuff a fish hides in, the weed beds, docks, stumps, and fallen trees. The largemouth uses structure to travel and to set ambushes, and it uses cover to hide inside them. The magic 10% is where both come together, and this reveals the single most reliable spot in all of largemouth fishing: the point. A point that drops from shallow to deep gives the fish everything it wants in one place: deep water for comfort and safety, a shallow shelf to ambush prey, and a highway that funnels bait fish right past its nose. When in doubt on new water, find a point and fish it hard. Because remember, the largemouth is always solving one equation, balancing three needs: comfort, safety, and food. A great piece of structure lets it satisfy all three without moving. That is why fish stack on the right point or creek channel, while acres of open banks sit empty. Find the spot that solves the fish's equation, and you have found the fish. And above all, the largemouth goes where the food goes. Forage drives the majority of its movement. Find the shad, the bluegill, the crawfish, and the predators will not be far behind. Before we hunt the true giants, tap that QR code, because the vault maps these exact spots and how to read them for your lake. It ends the guesswork for good. Now we come to the giants, the fish like Perry's, and here the rules change. Because the biggest largemouth in any water are almost always old females. A 22-pound fish is not a lucky freak. It is a female that survived many years and grew enormous carrying roe. Perry's record fish, when he cleaned it, was full of eggs. The true monsters are ancient mothers. And the bigger a largemouth grows, the more extreme its efficiency becomes. A giant will not chase. It is learned that survival means the perfect ambush, one explosive strike for a large, easy meal. This is why fast, flashy search lures mostly catch average fish, while the true trophies fall to something slow, large, and dropped right on their nose. Patience is the price of a giant. Now look back at George Perry with new eyes. He caught his giant in shallow water, tight against a half-sunken cypress log, in dark, stained water in early June. A big old female holding on cover in warm, shallow water, ambushing anything that came close. He did not know the science, but he cast to the exact spot the science says a giant should be. That is the lesson buried in the most famous catch in history. The giants are not out in the deep, open lake. They are shallow, next to the heaviest wood and cover they can find, waiting to ambush. Fish slow, fish big, and fish tight to cover, and you give yourself a real chance at the fish of a lifetime, right where Perry found his. So let us assemble everything into the system that actually multiplies your catch. Because catching 10 times more is not one secret. It is stacking the odds, layer upon layer, until the fish has no choice. The angler who does this is not luckier than you. He is simply solving the whole puzzle at once, while most people solve none of it. Start with place. Ignore the empty banks and hunt the magic 10%, the points, channels, and cover where the fish actually live. That one shift alone, fishing where they are instead of where they are not, will transform your day more than any lure you could ever buy. Location is 90% of the battle. Then stack time on top of place. Fish the golden temperature window when you can, the falling barometer before a front, and the gray hours of dawn and dusk. When the right spot meets the right window, the bite does not trickle, it explodes. This is how a good angler can outfish a great one, simply by being there at the right hour. Finally, match your presentation to the predator. In clear water, natural colors. In stained water, remember the science. Red and bold contrast the fish can actually see. Fast lures to cover water and find active fish. Slow, big baits dropped on cover when you are hunting a true giant. Feed the predator what its biology is begging for, and match the local menu. If the water is full of shad, throw a slender, silver, shad-shaped lure. If crawfish rule the rocks, throw a brown or red craw imitation. The largemouth is keyed to whatever it eats every single day, so the closer your lure matches the real forage, the fewer questions the fish asks before it strikes. Place, time, presentation. Stack those three, and you are no longer fishing on hope. You are fishing on the same laws that put a 22-pound giant in a poor farmer's boat almost a century ago. The fish have not changed since 1932. The only thing that changes is how well the angler understands them. So there it is, the science of catching 10 times more, from the predator's eyes to the giant's ambush. Learn the temperature, read the sky, hunt the 10%, and respect the old females holding tight to cover. Do that, and you stop hoping for luck and start expecting fish. Everything Perry stumbled into, you can now do on purpose. The Angler's Vault is the first link below, with the full month-by-month system. The QR code is in the corner. Pay once, and it is yours. Now tell me in the comments, what is the biggest largemouth you have ever landed, and where was it sitting? And if this decoded the fish for you, subscribe, because we turn the science into more fish every week. We will see you on the water. And if you want to see the exact cheap lures that trigger these ambush strikes without breaking the bank, watch this next. 12 lures everyone ignores that are absolute gold mines.